In the ancient times of the Judges, Israel was a nation often in turmoil. Without a central king to lead them, the Israelites found themselves repeatedly turning away from God and falling into the hands of their enemies. It was a cycle of disobedience, oppression, repentance, and deliverance. One of the most oppressive periods came under the rule of Eglon, the king of Moab. Eglon, a ruthless and powerful ruler, saw an opportunity to expand his territory and power. He allied himself with the Ammonites and the Amalekites, formidable forces in their own right, and launched an invasion against Israel. The city of palms, known as Jericho, fell into Eglon's hands. This victory marked a significant blow to the Israelites, who were now subjected to Moabite rule. Eglon's regime was harsh and unforgiving, and for 18 years, the people of Israel suffered under his heavy hand. The burden of oppressive taxes, forced labor, and the constant presence of Moabite soldiers weighed heavily on them. The Israelites, once proud and free, were now reduced to servitude. Despite their suffering, the Israelites had not been abandoned by their God. In their distress, they cried out to the Lord for deliverance. They remembered the stories of old, of how God had delivered their ancestors from the hands of the Egyptians, of the mighty works he had performed through leaders like Moses and Joshua. Their cries reached the heavens, and God, in his mercy, raised up a deliverer for them, Ehud, the son of Jair. Ehud was from the tribe of Benjamin, a tribe known for its warriors. What set Ehud apart was his left-handedness. In a time when being right-hand was the norm and left-handedness was often seen as a disadvantage, Ehud's unique trait would become a crucial element in God's plan. Left-handedness in the tribe of Benjamin was not entirely unheard of. In fact, the Benjamites had a reputation for having many skilled left-handed warriors. Ehud's ability to use his left hand with precision and strength would soon become pivotal. The Israelites, oppressed and desperate, saw in Ehud a glimmer of hope. He was chosen to deliver the annual tribute to King Eglon. This tribute was a painful reminder of their subjugation, a yearly humiliation that underscored their status as a conquered people. Ehud, however, saw this mission as an opportunity. Ehud began to devise a plan, one that would require courage, cunning, and an unwavering faith in God's deliverance. He crafted a double-edged sword about a cubit long, approximately 18 inches. This was no ordinary weapon, it was designed for concealment and swift, deadly action. Ehud strapped the sword to his right thigh, under his clothing. This strategic placement was essential because in those times, guards would typically check for weapons on a person's left side, assuming that any right-hand individual would draw from there. Ehud's left-handedness gave him a significant advantage, as the sword remained hidden and undetected. With the sword securely hidden, Ehud set out with a group of Israelites to deliver the tribute to King Eglon. The journey to Moab was fraught with tension. The Israelites, burdened with the tribute, moved slowly and deliberately, their minds heavy with thoughts of their oppressed state. Upon reaching Eglon's palace, the sight that met their eyes was one of opulence and excess. Eglon's throne room was adorned with rich tapestries and golden decorations, a stark contrast to the simplicity and hardship faced by the Israelites. Eglon himself was a sight to behold. Described in the scriptures as a very fat man, he was a symbol of gluttony and indulgence. His corpulent figure, seated on a grand throne, radiated an air of smug satisfaction. Eglon received the tribute with a mixture of arrogance and disinterest, his attention more on his own comfort than on the plight of the Israelites. After the tribute was presented, Ehud sent away his companions. This was a calculated move, designed to set the stage for what was to come. With his fellow Israelites safely away from the palace, Ehud turned back and approached Eglon, claiming that he had a secret message for the king. Intrigued by the prospect of a secret message, Eglon dismissed his attendants. This decision would prove to be his undoing. Alone with Eglon in the cool upper room of his palace, Ehud's heart pounded with the weight of what he was about to do. Stepping closer to the king, Ehud declared, "I have a message from God for you." Eglon, curious and perhaps somewhat apprehensive, rose from his seat. In a swift and unexpected motion, Ehud drew the sword from his right thigh with his left hand and plunged it into Eglon's belly. The blade sank deep into the king's flesh, so deep that even the handle was enveloped by Eglon's fat. The force of the thrust caused Eglon's bowels to discharge, a gruesome and definitive end for the oppressive ruler. The once powerful king of Moab lay lifeless, undone by his own arrogance and by the hand of a left-handed Israelite. The deed accomplished, Ehud needed to escape. He quickly locked the doors of the upper room and made his way out of the palace. Eglon's servants, noticing the locked doors, assumed their master was relieving himself and waited outside. The wait grew longer, and their concern turned to alarm. Finally, they unlocked the doors and discovered the grisly scene within, their king, dead on the floor, a pool of blood and bodily fluids around him. Meanwhile, Ehud had escaped to Sarah. His heart still racing from the encounter, Ehud wasted no time. He sounded the trumpet in the hill country of Ephraim, a call to arms for the Israelites. The sound of the trumpet echoed through the hills, summoning the people to gather. The Israelites, long oppressed and yearning for freedom, responded to Ehud's call. They rallied to him, gathering with weapons in hand. Ehud, standing before the assembled Israelites, recounted the events that had transpired. He told them of Eglon's death and declared that the time for their deliverance had come. The people, inspired by Ehud's courage and filled with a renewed sense of hope, were ready to follow him into battle. Ehud led the Israelites in a surprise attack against the Moabites. They seized the fords of the Jordan River, critical crossing points that prevented the Moabites from fleeing or receiving reinforcements. The Israelites, fueled by the desire for freedom and justice, struck down about 10,000 Moabite warriors. It was a decisive and overwhelming victory, one that marked the end of Moabite oppression over Israel. With the defeat of the Moabites, Israel was finally liberated from Eglon's oppressive rule. The land, which had known suffering and subjugation for 18 long years, now experienced peace and rest. This period of tranquility lasted for 80 years, a testament to God's deliverance through Ehud's bravery and cunning. Ehud's story became a powerful reminder of how God can use unexpected and unlikely individuals to achieve his purposes. Ehud's left-handedness, often considered a disadvantage, was a crucial element in God's plan for Israel's deliverance. Through his faith, ingenuity, and courage, Ehud fulfilled the role God had set for him, bringing freedom and peace to his people. The story of Ehud and Eglon is a tale of courage, faith, and divine intervention. It highlights the ways in which God can use the unique traits and circumstances of individuals to bring about his plans. Ehud, the left-handed deliverer, stands as a testament to the power of faith and the importance of answering God's call, no matter how daunting the task may seem. As the Israelites enjoyed the peace and prosperity that followed their victory, they were reminded of God's faithfulness and the importance of remaining true to him. Ehud's story continued to be told and retold, a beacon of hope and inspiration for future generations. It served as a reminder that in times of great need, God hears the cries of his people and raises up deliverers to lead them to freedom. In the quiet moments of peace, as the sun set over the hills of Ephraim and the Israelites went about their lives, they remembered the bravery of Ehud, the unexpected hero who, through faith and courage, changed the course of their history.